There was some action recorded last evening and overnight in Russia. Friendly Cotton paid a visit to at least 5 regions of the terrorist country. Residents of Ryazan, Lipetsk, Voronezh, Rostov, and Samara regions heard the sounds of war with their own ears. In Ryazan, explosions, which Russians stubbornly call pops, rang out near the Victoria Plaza shopping center. Residents of Novosailovo, Pioneersky Guy, and the Rybnovsky district captured the flights of these peacekeeping birds on their sanctioned phones. At least 2 explosions were heard in Taganrog on the coast of the Sea of Azov. In the Samar region, drones targeted oil refineries. The Electropriber enterprise in the city of Penza also took a hit. And finally, in a different context, we also mention the infamous Primorsko-Akhtarsk, from where drones fly toward us every night. In this town in the Krasnodar region, a fire broke out near the military airfield. It was an uneasy night as well in temporarily occupied Crimea. There are reports of a strike on a Russian radar installation in Feodosia. And the eyewitnesses to all this action didn't hold back, using plenty of their great and mighty language to describe their excitement at what they saw.
Zelazny's beautiful harmonica playing. A truly captivating performance.
Simon, you just got blown out message. Did you get that on camera? Unbelievable.
The shockwave will reach us soon.
Are you kidding me?
Simony.
Maybe we should go inside.
It's fine. Don't freak out.
Last night, there were at least 10 explosions in Taganrog, Russia. Drones attacked the Bereev aircraft company. Also, according to information from social media, the 708th Military Transport Aviation Regiment was hit. The Russian forces had to deploy not only air defense systems, but also helicopters, yet the results of their efforts speak for themselves. Eyewitnesses filmed several large fires at the scene. Drones also troubled Russia the day before. In the Russian city of Penza, a radio factory belonging to the Rostec enterprise is on fire. This factory produces automated combat control systems for various branches of the aggressor state's military, including air defense and artillery. The factory was hit by long-range drones. During the raid, the Security Service of Ukraine recorded at least 11 explosions, after which a large-scale fire broke out. An informed source in the Security Service reports that, preliminarily, the new production complex of the factory and warehouse facilities with equipment have been hit. All public transport in the city was stopped due to the alert. Mobile internet was also disconnected.
And here's yet another sign that the consequences of their criminal war are catching up with the Russians. In the Federation Council of the Russian Federation, they've already started talking about the strictest budget cuts for next year. And of course, the savings won't come from the military, but from civilian expenditures. They plan to cut them by at least 2 trillion rubles because the sanctions are working, oil prices are falling, and not even their rainy day stash, the National Welfare Fund, can save the hole in the budget. Well, and to help Russians come to their senses faster and realize that starting wars is bad for everyone, our trusty drones are lending a hand, precisely and deliberately reducing the power of the monster that works for the killers. Oksana Radionova on this week's successful operations.
This is the resort city of Sochi. For the first time since the start of the full-scale war, Ukrainian drones, similar to the Lyet UAVs, have added special effects to the vacation package. But it seems these effects weren't much appreciated by the Russian vacationers, and even less so by the locals.
Why are they bombing Sochi? They should be bombing Russia.
So what? Sochi isn't Russia. This question has already become a meme, just like the next one. Where is the Russian air defense?
Maybe they've run out of missiles. All in one spot over there.
But it's even worse where the air defense is actually working. They fired at the drones so hard that they ended up blowing up a residential building with their own S-400 missile. The main target of the Ukrainian attack was the oil depot at Sochi International Airport, 550 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. Thousands of cancelled flights at Russian airports were compounded by a new transportation collapse. Drones have pinpointed key railway junctions vital to the occupying army. These are the logistical arteries that feed Russia's war machine. If you cut them off, supplies to the front come to a halt.
But where's the stone?
Through Kamchatka, full name Kamenolomny Station, the Russian army transfers equipment, weapons, fuel, and soldiers to the front. Good drones smashed not only the station building itself, but also the control room and the networks. As a result, almost 150 trains didn't reach their destinations on time, which undermines their offensive. And this is another station, Lykaya. It's actually been in trouble since the days of the ATO. In fact, a significant part of the supplies for the Donetsk and Luhansk fronts comes from here. Our defenders also attacked the railway logistics hub in Novocherkassk. Last night, a substation that powers the railway in the Oktyabrski district exploded in the Volgograd region. Civilian air traffic is being blocked by drones. We're actively attacking the railways. There are changes happening in Russian ports as well. Starting this week, all foreign vessels there have been ordered to be inspected by FSB officers, which adds more problems for Russia's war economy. We continue the painful tactic of 100 cuts for the enemy. It was our forces, using two types of drones, these mini Shahids and these tailed UAVs, that struck the signal substation radio factory in Stavropol. This facility is key for electronic warfare systems in aviation and air defense, as well as for weapon guidance systems. And this is how the nitrogen plant in Stavropol Krai, a producer of raw materials for explosives, specifically nitric acid and ammonium nitrate, went up in flames. Drones also paid a visit to the Tambov gunpowder plant. Here, the Russians manufacture gunpowder for both firearms and rockets. A series of powerful explosions rocked occupied Donetsk and Makiivka. There was a major strike in the area of the Zasyako mine. At least 8 hits targeted the occupiers' base and the railway infrastructure. Ammunition was burning near occupied Melitopol. This week, our military intelligence reported that a Su-27 combat training fighter jet caught fire at the Armavir airfield in Krasnodar Krai. They hinted it was the work of partisans. And there's more to come. Oksana Radionova, Natalka Kucherenko, TSN Week, 1+1, Marathon, United News.
The Russians launched a missile strike on the territory of one of the Ukrainian military training units. This was reported by our ground forces. It is already known that 3 servicemen have been killed and 18 wounded. All the wounded received prompt and necessary medical assistance, the statement says. A commission has been established and an official investigation launched to clarify all the circumstances. The Air Force had previously reported ballistic missile launches from the Kursk region towards Chernihiv region. This year, the invaders have intensified attacks on the ground forces training centers. There were several such incidents just in June. In particular, on June 22nd, a Russian strike on a training ground killed 3 people and wounded 14 others. Seismic activity on Kamchatka has not stopped since yesterday. There, after the earthquake, the Klyachevskaya Sopka volcano woke up. Smoke is puffing from the crater, but so far, no lava can be seen. At night, the region was seriously shaken, with a magnitude of almost 9. Nothing like this has been seen here in the last 70 years. There is a tsunami threat. Even neighboring Japan is on edge. Just in case, about 2 million people have been evacuated from dangerous areas there. Hawaii is also preparing for the wave. Watch Oksana Tkachenko's report for more on the devastating natural disaster and its aftermath.
There hasn't been an earthquake like this in Kamchatka since 1952. While the rest of the world was asleep, the Russian region was shaken so hard that buildings were swaying. People were jumping out into the street in whatever they had on. The local church was also shaken by the underground tremors.
Lord have mercy! Lord have mercy!
Seismologists rated the magnitude of the disaster at 8.8 out of a possible 9.5. The epicenter was located 150 kilometers from Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky at a depth of 32 kilometers. The earthquake destroyed the blue and yellow facade of the local kindergarten. There were no casualties, as it was under renovation at the time.
At kindergarten number 15, part of the building's facade collapsed, but thank God, no one was hurt. There were no children present, but there is damage.
Immediately after the tremors, a tsunami threat emerged. Waves rose to 3 or 4 meters high. People were ordered to evacuate the coast immediately. The police blocked the roads. First, the northern Karels in the Sakhalin region were hit. The local port was flooded there, and the fish processing plant was affected as well. Animals on Kamchatka are also reacting strongly to the powerful natural disaster. On Antsiferov Island, cliffs began to crumble near where sea lions were resting. Frightened animals started jumping into the water one after another and fleeing. On Japan's Honshu Island, whales began to strand themselves en masse on the shore. The official authorities, having learned about the threat, immediately issued a warning in at least 8 prefectures. 2 million people living on the Pacific coast were evacuated. Sirens wailed throughout the region. Employees of the infamous Fukushima nuclear power plant also evacuated urgently. The Japanese remember well how, in 2011, under similar circumstances, an accident occurred at the facility after an earthquake and tsunami. Seismology expert Liu Xian, who currently lives in Japan, uses a book and a sponge to explain why such powerful underground tremors occurred.
The energy in the sponge builds up so much that it overcomes the friction between the North American and the subducting Pacific plates. It snaps back and causes an earthquake. As a result of this rebound, significant changes occur in the seafloor's topography. The ocean floor rises, which generates powerful tsunami waves. The total length of the rupture is approximately between 100 and 150 or 200 kilometers. This is an extremely large fault zone. For countries or regions located near subduction zones, earthquakes are inevitable.
Meanwhile, the tsunami warning wave also reached Latin American countries such as Peru and Chile, as well as the U.S. state of Hawaii. Locals started receiving notifications on their phones. Rescuers immediately began urging vacationers to leave the beach at once.
We were staying right on Waikiki Beach in Honolulu. It's a very popular spot. And then, around 2 o'clock, we started getting tsunami warnings on our phones. And from that moment, everything changed drastically. We were worried, although honestly, not too much for our own safety. We followed the instructions of the government services. They told us to move away from the shore, to go up to at least the 4th floor of a building. But we lived on the 11th floor, so we felt pretty calm and safe. But we didn't know what could happen, whether the coastline would be seriously damaged, if there would be power or water outages, or if the infrastructure would be destroyed. All of that worried us. Now we feel a certain sense of relief. We hope that the worst is already behind us. But for a few hours, we were really anxious.
Although the tsunami threat is already gradually decreasing and most people are being allowed to return home, seismologists warn that in the near future, underground vibrations may recur in the form of so-called aftershocks with a magnitude of more than 7. Oksana Radionova, TSN 1+1.